Good evening, London. Welcome to the Culture Show. Yes, London town. It's a mystic. SLR 97.7 FM Culture Corner with DJ Riddim. Wednesday from 6 to 8. Don't forget, this show is sponsored by the Number Beyond Mind, who specialize in black books and audio and figure tapes and art and craft. Today is the 4th of October, so this month program is a special program sponsored by quite a few different outlets here in Tottenham. Sponsors such as Everybody Music in Tottenham, Now You Be on Mind, Ital Vital Restaurant, Bully's Kitchen Lick, Blake Jerk Center. Don't forget we have the Quiz Corner, where you can win yourself a meal. But the Now You Be on Mind also throw in, we now have a black book by the name of Black Scientist and Inventor Part 1 and 2. 2 books to be won also in the Quiz Corner. Just a reminder, for those of you who have been calling Now You Be on Mind to make your order for your literature, the number is now on 24/7. Mystic win in the year. Don't forget the question still outstanding is, when was the 12th tribe formed and by whom? Twofold. The next question is, when did Bakawal Rastafari community got destroyed? These questions carry over from the Garrison Mix, Monday gone. We have quite a massive lineup, short time to do it in. for the day is black male and female relationship. And the speaker will be Dr. Jula here. Also in the mix is the legendary talk by Bunny Wailers. Remember, you have two talk. You got the revolution talk and you got the legendary talk. The legendary talk is a 3-disc series. So we can get a taste of it tonight. Continue at some other time. Yes, massive. Topic of the day is black male and female relationship, done by Dr. Jula here.
This program is sponsored by the Nubian Minds.
Teach them the roots and heritage. Give them the fruits of knowledge.
Nubian Minds are specialists in black history and culture from around the world. They are the providers of all the material aired on this show.
Amen.
To order from our extensive catalog of DVDs and audio CDs, call us on 079-4479-2378. Do it.
Amen. Unto us a son is given, to us a child is born. Give them the teachings, Jah work they must perform.
Yes, massive. The number is on 24/7 now. For those of you who have been trying to get through the number and couldn't get through, I was told to let you know it is on full time now.
Do it.
Make sure they get food, clothes, and so on.
Do it.
Give them a future, do Jah youths no harm.
Also in the mix is the legendary talk done by Bunny Wailers. Remember, you have two talk. You got the revolution talk and you got the legendary talk.
Teach these truths to your children. Teach your children that they need nothing exterior to themselves to be happy. No person, place, or thing. And that true happiness is found within. Teach them that they are sufficient unto themselves. Teach them this and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that failure is a fiction, that every trying is a success, and that every effort is what achieves the victory. The first no less honorable than the last. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that they are deeply connected to all of life, that they are one with all people, that they are never separate from God.
Don't forget you in tune to SLR 97.7 FM Culture Corner with DJ Riddim from 6 to 9. And this program is sponsored by Everybody Music, Naumbi and Mine, Itel Vital, Bullis Kitchen and Blake Jerk Center.
Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that they live in a world of magnificent abundance, that there's enough for everyone, and that it is in sharing the most, not in gathering the most, that the most is received. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there's nothing that they are required to be or to do to be eligible for a life of dignity and fulfillment, that they need not compete with anyone for anything, and that God's blessings are meant for everyone. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly.
Teach your children that they will never be judged, that they need not worry about always getting it right, and that they do not have to change anything or get better to be seen as perfect and beautiful in the eyes of God. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that consequences and punishment are not the same thing, that death does not exist, and that God would never condemn anyone. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there are no conditions to love, that they need not worry about ever losing your love or God's, and that their own love, unconditionally shared, is the greatest gift they can give to the world. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that being special does not mean being better, that claiming superiority over someone is not seeing them for who they really are, and that there is great healing in acknowledging mine is not a better way. Mine is merely another way. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there is nothing they cannot do, that the illusion of ignorance can be eradicated from the earth, and that all anyone really needs is to be given back to themselves by being reminded of who they really are. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach these things not with your words, but with your actions, not with discussion, but with demonstration. For it is not what you do that your children will emulate, but how you are that they will become.
Maximum respect goes out to the brethren called Levi Fire, who won the question that was posed Monday. But we still have two questions left to be answered. And that is, who formed the 12th tribe and when it was formed? And the next question is, when was Bakawal destroyed? You can't get it out of the way by make a link fast and put that away so we can put some other question out there. Well, we'll go right into the program now.
But here in the presence of brothers and sisters, because as Nathan told you, whenever we come across this country, because I know some of you do not get 3,000 miles away that often to San Francisco, but let me tell you, we bring you greetings from the city that is still whatever your sexual preference might be. So we're happy to be here with you. We're happy. And if you'll notice that they put this sister here between these two warriors. But I've often been told that whenever you have wheat bread, in order to make it a good sandwich, you do need some meat. Am I right? And so the meat is here. Yeah, the meat is here. It is here. And I am so happy always to greet you, because out in the hallway, in the corridors, and in the cafeteria, and all the places we've been, I've seen not only the brothers who came to this conference, but those who just happen to be working in the hotels and those who've been around. That said that there we are looking at a group of sisters who are looking good, feeling good, and smelling good. And I say the same thing as I look upon this audience of sisters today. I'm always happy to see the queens of the universe. I'm always happy to be in the presence of the first women to walk this vast and imponderable earth. And a lot of people don't like to believe it, that we gave life to every human being that's here. That's right. I know that the Dan Quells and the Whoopi Goldbergs would not like to say we're their mothers, but we don't always like to claim our children either. And we're happy for that. And I also know that it isn't easy being a black woman today, and I know that every sister in this room would agree with me. Because if we're aggressive, if we're assertive, if we're taking care of business, if we're doing what our mothers and our grandmothers and those before us told us what to do, we're accused of giving attitude. And you know, people often say that the sisters got attitudes, but this is all we've got on our nerves. We can put our hands on our hip and really give attitude. You know that that's happened. Sisters have always been able to do that. And because sometimes we're not only said that we are given attitude by other people, but sometimes our own brothers accuse us of that. Sometimes they'll say that these sisters have attitude. And some of the brothers, because there's a male shortage, are beginning to believe that they were messiahs that were sent here to share, sent as messiahs, sent here to supply the overabundant supply of black women that are here. And sometimes we have to give attitude to correct that and say there may be a shortage, but there's not desperation out here yet. Sometimes we have to run that down. We do that. We know that this is happening. And we know that sometimes there in this whole male-female relationship syndrome that's going out here, we find that there are a lot of younger men who occasionally come up and want to take advantage of those of us who happen to be over 30, 35, and 40. And they happen to do that. But of course, we are ready for them too, because as the sister said, I've often said, if you find a young one, if there's not one in your age group to meet your needs, train what you want. And so we deal with that, so there's no problem. So I say to every sister that's in this room, we have had a legacy before us. We had Fannie Lou Hamer that made it possible when she changed the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. She made it possible for all those rainbows who are sitting in Washington at the feet of Bill Clinton now. We had Sister Soldier that has gone right on out and rapped there to let us know that there's a place for black women and that we will not be insulted in anything that goes on. And then in history, we saw attitudes, if you look at old pictures of Zora Neale Hurston, and it goes on and on and on. And so I say to the sisters who have persevered in spite of the shortage of mills, in spite of the hardships of some of the things we've had to tolerate, I would say let's give these sisters a round of applause. And like I said, since we're an equal opportunity praiser, let me tell you about these brothers here. You do not know how happy I am to see so many sane, so many unincarcerated, so many, I guess, monogamous. And I hope I'm standing before brothers who still love melanin-enriched sisters. See, I know it also isn't easy being a black man today either. It isn't easy every time you walk down the street. People see you coming a block away and cross the street thinking that you're going to snatch their purse, although you may be employed and they're unemployed. I know it isn't easy that every time you push the button and you get on the elevator in this hotel or any place you go, the persons who are standing on there, if they are not black people like we are, if they're standing there, they either want to run past you or hope that several other folks who look like them get on there. I know that isn't easy. I know it isn't simple that every time you go into the supermarket or the drugstore, even if you're looking at the women's hygiene section, the clerks run over and think you're going to steal some of that rather than watching the people who are ripping them off from across the store. I know that it's not easy. And I know it isn't easy being a member of a race of people such as we are that stood back and let white folks call white women a minority who came and took 80% of those jobs under affirmative action that could have gone to you and yours to strengthen our families. I know that it's not simple. But then I know that there are those who have stood strong but did not sell out, who did not persevere. And I say that to you, Ellis Liddell, I'm talking about you. I say that to you, Mike Tyson, wherever you might be on that trumped-up charge with those brothers and sisters sat on that jury and did not let you out. I say this as we remember Louis Farrakhan as they have come out to get him. I say that to the Marcus Garveys and to remember of Malcolm X and to all of you brothers that I may not know by name. I know that many of you have stood and continue to stand. So I say, sisters, we need to give these brothers a round of applause here. And to each and every one of us in this room, as Dr. Akbar said, whether we greet each other in the spirit of Abana Ghani, whether it's Assalamu Alaikum, whether we greet each other in the spirit of Imhotep, whether you're Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, and some of you may even be passing for Jewish, whether you're Deltas, whether you're AKAs, whether you're Alphas, whatever you are, and even to the young people who may be members of the hip-hop community, whatever you are, I think that our common goal should be to understand that since we live here in the belly of the beast is all over the world, but we're in the belly of the beast. Since we live here, I would like to see us bring a proactive struggle back to the streets, to the universities, the neighborhoods, and the communities, and get back on the streets as we did in the 60s so that our people will not have to come 20 years later and have to go back through what we're going through now. I would hope to see us do that. Now, do you think we can? Can we get it together, black men and women? Can we do that? Okay, even if you are seated, if you are not seated by your significant other, because coming from San Francisco, anything can be your significant other. Regardless of the person that you're seated next to, I'd like you to turn to that person, look them right in the eye and shake their hand and say, we can get it together. Do that right now. Turn to the person and say, we can get it together. We can get it together. Okay. Now today, we have been asked, and when I say that those who stood the course, I didn't see you in here, but in spite of being accused of nepotism, and to those who stood the course, and I thank you, Nathan Harris, I cited those strong black warriors. There you are. Okay. Ellis Liddell reached us in San Francisco and asked me to come today to discuss the role of women in relationships. But I'm going to shift that. And the reason why I'm going to shift that, because ever since we started the first black male-female relationships journal back in 1979, I say that it is impossible to have a role for a black woman or a role for a black man. Anytime that you're in a struggle together, the roles are intertwined and they are together. So we're talking about male-female relationships today. Not just the role of the other, but how we get it together. And let me tell you, if we had looked at that back in those days, because I can recall that when we started doing the research on this was when Betty Friedan, and I haven't heard too much about white feminism at this conference, but I'm going to address it because it really is a cancer and an evil that's eating into our relationships, our employment, our jobs, and the whole bit. But when Betty Friedan stood and said that white women, that black people had the 60s, and that white folks, and she meant white women, will have the 70s, you can see she never lied if you look around and see where all the jobs have gone. So we said that we need to begin to look at the situation. We were writing an article for Transaction magazine, which is now called Society. And the reason why we said that male-female relationships would be one of the most devastating things to reach the black family in the next 20 years. Now understand, this was before 60% of our households were headed by black females. This was before we were more than 50% of the prison population. This was before our homosexuality increased within our group. This is before the drugs were planted in our community. And the reason why I say planted in our community, which seems to be the thing that's winning now, years ago, the white man sent religion to our community because he felt that I can keep a veil of ignorance over their head because all they can sing is wash me and I shall be whiter than snow, and by we will go to glory the next morning, then they will be happy. Then after that he said, if that is not working, because some of them became educated, they became agnostics, they became atheists, or whatever it was that they grew out of that. They started to understand that Jesus and God and all the deities is black, so that didn't work. So then he sends his woman into us, which he's done all through history. And she came in there, and it worked with a lot of them, and it is still working, which we will get to that later. But it did work with a lot of them. And then after we said that some of them are a little bit too sophisticated to be taken by the woman, then he sends his drugs in there, the thing that seems to be winning. But many of our academicians and scholars at the time said, no, Nathan and Julia, what do you mean talking about male-female relationships? See, they thought we were talking about picadillos, sexual titillations, who you're going to date, who you slept with the next morning, who you're going to sleep with tonight, who you're going to sail to Europe or to Africa with. These are the type things we thought we were talking about. We said, we're talking about something that is the political backbone of a people. Because if you do not have male-female relationships, you do not have a black family. And without a black family, you will not have any children. And so rather than to condemn any of them for having done that, I often said what my mother taught me, is better late than never. So at least we're coming around to address the situation. So as we do this today, I'd like for you in academia, all of you here, to push back from your textbooks and your footnotes. I'd like for you to push back from your empirical research, push back from your lofty terminology, push back from your EDDs, your PhDs, your BBDs, whatever it might be that you might have, whatever kind of these. Push back from that. And as we begin to find out what started our relationships to crumble, and the reason why I have to look at what started them to crumble, because if we say that they never did crumble, it's just like when you're saying that our families, we have no racism or we have no problems. If you deny what the real problem is, then you believe that you have to do nothing to correct it. But let me tell you when they first started to crumble, not when we became adults trying to find people. It started to crumble way back there, and God bless his soul wherever he is, with that insidious thing called Brown versus Board of Education. Because once we integrated into somebody else's center of power, that is exactly when we lost our children, when we started to ship them out and to send them over. I know that all of you in this room can remember when black parents were not scared or were not afraid to discipline black children. Do you remember that? Because you all knew there was an ironing cord somewhere. There were switches somewhere from the tree. Sometimes you were sent out there to get your own switch, and if you brought one in that was too short, then the penalty was even doubled. Now, all of this came before we let these white social service agencies, and we must call a spade today, no pun intended. But this is before these white social service agencies came in there telling us something called child abuse. My God, child abuse. I often told my mother that if she were bringing me up by today's standards, she'd be guilty of child abuse. She said, yes, you call somebody to come to the house to take you out. Be sure you call the mortician at the same time you call the cops to come to the house. And I'm saying that what happened is that all of a sudden black people decided to let the same people who raised Boy George tell us how to raise our children. This is the kind of thing that we got into. This was very, very secret. And so at the time when we got afraid to discipline our children, this is when we started to lose control of them. And whenever you lose control of your children, one of the things that you really don't need to lose control of when they're down in elementary school, and those are black boys, this is what we started to do. We lost control of our future patriarchs, our future warriors, and those who were going to carry on. And you know, in a patriarchal society, the reason why the white man loves to see the gangs and the boys falling in disrepute, in a patriarchal society, and any viable race must have a patriarch, no matter what you say, just like any viable group must have a matriarch, must have women in there too. But the black man, still in a patriarchal society, poses a threat to the white man in the bedroom and the boardroom. And this is why he would love to see relationships that are torn apart. But two things happen to cause male-female relationships to...
To order from our extensive catalog of DVDs and audio CDs, call us on 079-44-79-2378. That is 079-44-79-2378.
Fall apart. Number one, when our children slip through the cracks, our Negro adults, because that's what we were when this started to happen, our Negro adults started to think we were free. They were given token jobs. They were given an opportunity to move to the suburbs. They were given an opportunity to move from the back of the bus to the middle of the bus. And remember, I said the middle, but we were afraid to move to the front because, as Carter G. Woodson said, when there's not a back door there, some of us are still creating one. So these are the type things that we did. But in the serious throes of losing our children and us thinking that we were free, something suddenly happened that, as Nathan wrote about 7 years ago, adult black people became black Anglo-Saxons. Now, I don't know if you know what a black Anglo-Saxon is. Now, some of you definitely may know them, but black Anglo-Saxons are people who disidentify with blackness. Don't want to be black. You see them sitting on talk shows talking about my grandmother was Irish, my father was Native American, somebody was Scotch, somebody was Jewish. They'd be going down the line saying that. Now, some of you may know black Anglo-Saxons. Some of you may be related to black Anglo-Saxons. And some of you may be black Anglo-Saxons as we begin to look at it. But now today, these people have changed to something else instead of black Anglo-Saxons. Now they've become crossover artists. And crossover is in every field that we can talk about. You have crossover blacks in the media, and if you do not believe me, turn on the Today Show Monday morning. And if you're still in bed and you miss it there, go on down to the one that is dying to be Stedman's wannabe. If you miss it there. And if you miss it there, go on and wait till the night, because I think Arsenio Hall is still playing in every market. So you're going to see it wherever you go. You'll see it. Black Anglo-Saxons are found in academia. They're found in academia. Quite often they address us as people of color. Now, you see, once we complain about people calling us colored people, we went to Negro, but now you go to these university campuses, they talk about people of color. They also refer to us as minorities, and they know, since they're scholars, that we are the majority of people in this world. And we let them call us this. They have also become white feminists. They will speak to us as women and minorities, knowing that that constantly means women. So they're found in that area. Black Anglo-Saxons are found in the entertainment field. You just saw it with Whitney Houston and the Bodyguard. They're in every field that you go through. And then one of our most celebrated, prestigious, all organizations, the NAACP, recently gave its Image Award. Its Image Award. They went to the Young and the Restless, and they chose two people in there who are married to white folks to give the Image Award to. Then they gave it once to Whoopi Goldberg. See, these are the people that they're saying that they want us, an image. This is what you're telling young people that you want them to be like. This was the height of it. And then if that wasn't enough, we gave 97% of our vote to a person who went to office who's now practicing political jungle fever. If you would look at all of the appointments that Bill Clinton came up with, those people have been married white, are married white, are thinking about being married white. If you just look down the list that they go through, you look at all the sisters right here. Johnetta B. Cole, who was thought to be on the list before they discovered what the Marxist background was married white. Mary White Edelman was thought about something and was married white. Maya Angelou, who gave the glowings of a poetry, was married white. It just goes down the list. And this came right out of the Black is Beautiful era. So a lot of these people did. So I'm saying that they're working on our minds to become crossover. And as long as this kind of thing happens, then black people are never going to get our male-female relationships together, because we'll be striving, trying to be like those people who are the appointed ones. This is the problem. And one of the things that we want to get over to our people is that, and as much as I talk to young people, I said, those are not role models. Those people are models playing roles. And this is something that we need to begin to remember about this. The crossover has affected our literature, because now they're saying that in order to be a best-selling author, to be published by white folks, if you're a woman, you got to bash men in order to get through the feminist thing. But I'm telling you right now, it is time for us to break the silence. It's time to do that. Did you know that we have hundreds of national black organizations? We have the Association of Black Social Workers. The past president is here with us today, one of my dear friends, so he doesn't mind when I'm saying to talk about him. We have the Association of Black Psychologists. We have the Association of Black Sociologists. We have the NAACP, that I guess they're still black. I think they're going Jewish. We have the Urban League. We have the black school educators. We have the whole group of people. But I want to ask you, why haven't these groups, either individually or collectively, addressed issues that are tearing us apart now? That we can't talk about male-female relationships unless we talk about what's under there. Why haven't one of these groups, individually or collectively, addressed what the foster care program is doing to us? Did you know that white social service agencies, white folks, are selling and marketing black babies? When a young mother falls in the throes of crack, when a young black man cannot be employed, they now take the babies away from us, give them to white folks. If it's a crack infant care baby, they give it to white folks for $1,700 a month, tax-free. Sometimes white folks have 4 and 5 of our babies. Then they go on the talk shows and say that we could not find any qualified black families to take these children. And let me tell you, anyone in this room, if we're not each one teach one, I took 4 black grandmothers down to the Department of Social Services in San Francisco. I said, how come you don't let these grandmothers their own children? Because from Africa, we came from an extended family. They went on to say, we went out to their houses. They did not have any broccoli in the refrigerator. I said, yes, but you're culturally deprived because they probably had collard greens, which has more vitamin C in it. Then they said, we didn't see why they had separate bedrooms for each of the children. I said, I grew up with 3 sisters. All of us slept in the same bedroom, and we're more successful than any of you who's working down here at this place. Here's the only thing. Then they went on to say, but we didn't see any food cooked. It didn't smell any food. I said, let me tell you, these grandmothers can cook sweet potato pies that are so good you have to take off your shoes to wiggle your toes while you eat it. Run it down to them and just let them know it. These are the type things. Why haven't any of these groups that I just named addressed population control? Do you understand population control is nothing but white, it's just genocide upon black people. It's genocide on black people. This is what this is. And let me tell you what it is doing. When you see white women out there marching, talking about abortion, pro-choice, a free choice, a no choice at all, that is not really what they're talking about in our case. For black women, they're talking sterilization. This is what they're talking about. They tell us that we have too many children in the world. They're saying black people have it. While all the while they got infertility, the fertility drugs. They are beefing up theirs by test tubing, cloning, turkey basting, doing everything they can in order to increase their group. But yet telling us that there are too many. Why haven't these black organizations looked at that? Look at the NOR plant now. 70% of that is now going to Medicare, to Medi-Cal women, and to poor women, which means that after 5 years you are made sterile and you cannot have any children. They are concerned that black people are continuously reproducing themselves. This is why they came out with the whole idea and said that we're having too many children and talked about teenage pregnancy, and they said that right at the time when teenage pregnancy was going down. But I hear the Association of Sociologists, Psychologists, or Social Workers, anyone doing that. Why haven't any of these groups talked about the decriminalization or the legalization of drugs? We're going to have to go and look at that for the simple reason that prohibition finally took place. They talked about the gin in the bathtubs. What can we do about it? Finally, after we had lots of all the disenchanted people back there, they legalized it. If our men and our women are so sick of these drugs in the community that they put in there, why aren't they putting them in the hospitals instead of building more prisons? Something, these type things, but we have not even looked at that. I wonder where were these organizations of black men?
The majority of the source of it today comes from ideas. But then again, that's always been the way. Somebody who's able to come up with a better idea to solve problems better than other folks do. The fellow who's sitting up there beating rocks for another is always going to lose to the guy who put together a rudimentary hammer and chisel. You can make tools, you're always going to beat the guy.
Here comes the American Civil Liberties Union with their black lackeys to tell us that this was discrimination against girls, whereas...
To order from our extensive catalog of DVDs and audio CDs, call us on 079-44-79-2378. That is 079-44-79-2378.
The woman who was the superintendent of the place and all the others, the black women, black elected officials said, let's go with this experiment, but nobody said anything. When they tried to impose a curfew on black boys right here in Atlanta, Where were the voices that were going? The American Civil Liberties Union came out and said, this is imposing upon the rights of the children. I'm saying that these are the type things that goes on. I've often told to Brother Hakeem, he said that, you know, Julia, white men do not fear white women collectively. They sometimes fear them as individuals, but not really collectively. He said that white men do not fear black women, you know, just as individuals. Sometimes it's a group. But I want to add another footnote. White men don't fear black men either, because they have found out, unless they meet us in alleys, unless they meet us one-on-one. But I mean to fear us as a political force that's going to stand out and say, we will not tell you how to raise your children if you don't tell us how to raise ours, because this is the kind of thing that's going on. I wonder why these groups have not spoken on what's going on with prisons now. Did you know that if there were any other race of people that had a prison population that over half of it belonged to them, did you know they would be marching, demonstrating, and calling attention to this and saying, what do you mean locking up these people over all of these type things? But none of that has happened. Because you see, when all of these factors that I just mentioned go unheeded, we come to what I have seen, the successful black woman syndrome. As you well know, the more successful a black woman is, the less her chances are of even finding an acceptable black man. You know this is it. Because what happens is that I have seen sisters come into our clinic in San Francisco. They have a car in each garage, a chicken in every pot. They have the designer's clothes. Those who are not black Anglo-Saxons sell to Africa. The other sell to Europe every summer. They do all the things that they want to do. And I have said, why are you in my clinic? I said, why are you, something about it, I'm still unhappy. I said, well, why are you here? They turned to me and have made the statement that, but I would like to have a BMW. I told them, I said, you're making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. You could buy the car. They said, no, I don't mean a car, Julia. I mean a black man working. It's these type things. This is what's happening to us, and these are the things that's going on. So I am saying, now that we are in touch with the brothers and sisters that are throughout the diaspora, now that we've done that, as Martin Luther King once told us, we sent 8,000 young black men to Vietnam. We sent them over there to Southeast Asia to try to bring liberation to those people when they don't have it here in Florida, we don't have it in Georgia, we don't have it in California, New York, we don't have it in this country, we don't even have it in Africa. But yet we sent them over to free someone else. So I'm saying that we are going to have to realize right now as black males and black females who the real enemy might be. It disturbs me when I hear a lot of us saying that what's happening to our relationships. Well, more and more, I'm beginning to see more sisters are becoming more masculine, and I'm seeing more brothers becoming more feminine. And it's not necessarily in a homosexual sense, because nothing is wrong with that. Some of our leading scholars, some of our scholars in history and all, have been homosexuals. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying they're becoming more masculine and having to take the strength and the strong roads in the family, and a lot of our men are sort of cowering down because we don't want to confront this system. We confront all historical things, but we don't want to confront today's system. So this is what I'm saying, speaking of it politically. It also bothers me that when I look to see that the conscious brothers are supposed to be moving on, I said that I can understand athletes and entertainers now becoming, moving out of the realm of actually fighting and to do things for us. But what I'm seeing happening now is that black women, for the longest, used to embrace white women politically. And we got mad because brothers embraced them romantically. But what we didn't understand that both of them were terrible. Now I'm seeing brothers are also addressing them and embracing them politically, and this is a mistake. See, what has happened is that as black people, we have often made the mistake of saying that there's a difference between the white man and the white woman. I'm trying to tell you there's no difference. The white woman is nothing but the white man in drag. Until we get that understood. This has not been clearly understood by us. You hear all of this talk now that this country is now in a climate of ethnic. Let me tell you, ethnic cleansing means to weed and seed. It means multiculturalism, which many of you have bought, which is nothing but assimilation, integration. They're talking diversity. They're just taking us right back. Anytime we try to build up as a people, then they come in and tell us all these things that we need to do. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to call for something for 1993. Number one, I'd like to call for some sense of unity. I'd like to see the elders and all of the people in our movement stop scribbling and squabbling over who led the last tour and over ideologies and refusing to sit on platforms and refusing to be on programs together. I'd like to see them come together as a united front, and so that we can begin to do the struggle that is needed to move our young people forward, so they will not be asking us, as they did yesterday, what happened in the interim. I can tell you this about the Hebrews. They may fight and squabble among each other, but they do that in the synagogue. But when they come out, they present a united front, which black people are going to have to begin to do that. And I call for honesty here. And the reason why I call for honesty, I hope this doesn't hurt any of the brothers' feelings, but I think that I speak on behalf of the sisters in this room. If you're bisexual or homosexual, stop dating and marrying us and having children and then later divorcing us, going on to whatever your first orientation was. I think that this is the kind of thing that is fragmenting our people when we see this kind of thing take place. I also call for the expulsion of certain groups from our midst until we get ourselves together. You're probably saying we need everyone. No, we don't. We have to have a small group of people in order to organize. If we were organizing for something in this room now, it's too many of us. And let me tell you what I call for the expulsion of. I call for the expulsion of all brothers, and this is until all sisters have some kind of support for their children. I call for the expulsion at this time of all brothers who are married white. I think this is something that we need to begin to look at until there is some support to any of them. And I say this to say this. If it is a person who is an actor, don't go to their movies. Billy D. Williams came into San Francisco and they called around and said, Julia, we want 100 black women for Billy D. Williams to come to the breakfast. I said, Chinatown is not far from here. You need to call and get 100 Asian women to go to the breakfast to do that. This kind of thing. And if they play sports, you don't need to go to their events, no matter where they're playing. Even if they're in the Super Bowl tomorrow, you don't even have to see this. And I tell you this, if they're in academia, like up at the University of Wisconsin, where a large number of most of the black faculty all over the campus is married white, if they're in academia, don't take their classes. If they're preachers, don't go to their churches. If they're politicians, don't vote for them. And if they're relatives, disown them. This kind of thing is what we have to do until we get the strength. I want you to remember that there are three kinds, Betty Baye. There are three kinds of black people. There are those who make it happen, there are those who watch it happen, and there are those who don't know what happened. And I'm saying that just because if you happen to belong to the latter group of those not knowing what happened, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. See, there was a time that black men and women used to struggle together. There was a time that you could drive through any black community, and there were a lot of pretty women at home, and there were a lot of working men. Now you drive through the black communities, and there are a lot of working women and a lot of pretty men at home, earrings and all. So I'm saying that we can return to the struggle that we used to have. In the 50s, black men and black women struggled together to integrate the schools. We didn't know that we were busting.
To order from our extensive catalog of DVDs and audio CDs, call us on 079 44 79 2378. That is 079 44 79 2378.
The lottery depended upon it. We didn't know that we were dealing with people that one weekend out of every year, they would have something called a Congressional Black Caucus and use all the fancy hotels in Washington, D.C. and lock up in the room to discuss white racism and black poverty. We had no idea this was going on. But I'm telling you that in the 90s, now this is our chance. I don't think we have any more time. Because I tell you, we need to decide before we leave this conference, do we want to be free or do we not want to be free? Do we want to be free or do we not? Because, see, we can have conferences like this for the next 20 years and discuss the same issues, and then all of us will be escorted out of here or become the elders. We got to decide whether we either, this is right, we're going to have to do one thing. We're going to either have to curse the darkness or turn on the light. We got to decide. And that cannot be done unless we set goals as to whether we want to be free. The late president of one of these universities down here admonished black people about goals. He said, the tragedy in life is not lying, not achieving your goals. The tragedy lies in having no goals to achieve. And so we're going to have to make that determination as to whether we want to be free people. We do not have that much longer to do this. We keep talking about the year 2000 where 70% of black men will be this, where so many women will be this, about the Time magazine saying that a woman is 4 times as likely to be shot by a terrorist in the fire. All of that talk is over. I think that becomes the age of rhetoric. It is now time to do, and we must bring that struggle back here. Do we really want to be free in 93? Yes. Are you serious about it? Yes. All right, in your Super Bowl voices, I want you to repeat after me. We called for freedom in 63. In your Super Bowl voices, we called for freedom in 63. We'll have freedom in 93. So for it.
Julia Hare, Dr. Julia Hare.
Yes, massive. That was Dr. Julia Hare. That's what she was talking about, freedom.
Just take these chains away and set me free. Remove me out of bondage and we'll agree. Too long I've been a slave, I wanna be no more. I'd rather dig my grave than be locked behind the door. I wanna help myself be an independent man. I don't want no one to give me an helping hand. Whether you're black, whether you are white, I don't wanna give a damn. I just wanna be all around.
Don't forget you in tune to the Culture Corner with DJ Riddim. And we have a quiz program going up. The question is, I know there's a lot of Rastafarian outside there. You should know when the 12 tribe formed. Also, you should know when Bakawal was destroyed. Where are you? Come up with the answers. Question for the week. Who formed the 12th tribe when it was formed? When was Bakawal destroyed? And if you think those questions are too tough, here are next question. When was the Spanish finally expelled from Jamaica? What year? When was African slave trade in Britain colonies abolished? And what month? Year and month. No one to give me a helping hand. Whether you're black, whether you are white. In 1964, Miriam Makeba and Stokey Carmichael visit the Rastafari community in Jamaica. What community did they went to? Simple elementary question. Still on the thing called freedom.
to free from misery. We want to live like human beings. We don't want to live and dumb amongst dead dog and fly. And have to fight junker from sky to get food for now. We want to live like any other man. You believe we come here willingly. You believe we want we pick them to grow up in a place worse than have pain. We want to free from misery. We want to live like human beings. Blaze, man a rage. Earth a blaze, man a rage. Earth a blaze, man a rage. Man a believe in a shanty, shanty. Food and clothes, scanty, scanty. Cost of living gets so high. Man a be shopping.
Leroy, you're going the other way.
Nah, man, too weird to this, you know, Rastafari or war, you know. I man choose Rastafari.
Boy,
you know?
me have to live the Christian way, you know.
You know, it's still a Bible, you know that.
Lord have mercy, look at my grandson.
Oh, me?
Eh?
I
look at my grandson. Lord have mercy.
I old Rastafari, man. Nobody about that, madam.
Come over to the yard.
Them your days that the rain won't fall from sky. Man want walk, man afraid, man don't know where the next meal come from yet. Every pound man make trouble set. The way things are run tomorrow, man look the ground, see the sun. The whole scene red, time red, 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 red. Earth a blaze, man a rage. Earth a blaze, man a rage. Earth a blaze, man a rage. Man a believe in a shanty, shanty. Done close, shanty, shanty. Cost of living gets so high. Man a be shopping with him eye. Them your days that even rain won't fall from sky. Man
Yes, massive. Don't forget that this program is sponsored by Everybody Music. Now you bear in mind, Ital Vital Restaurant, Bullis Kitchen, Blake Jerk Center. In case you didn't know what it's all about, it's the Black History Month program, and we got quite a few things in the basket up for grab. You got a book called Black Scientist and Inventor Part 1 and 2, 2 books. You got Bunny Wailer's Revolution Dark in the goodies bag, and you got a meal at any of the following restaurants: Ital Vital, Bullis Kitchen, Blake Jerk Center. All you have to do, call in with, we got 5 questions tonight. You call in with any 3 of the correct answer from the 5 questions, and you're good to go. You can choose whether you want the book, or you want the CD, or you want to have a meal. And the question is, who formed the 12 Tribe Organization and what year? The next question is, when was Bakawal destroyed? Which year? Third question is, when was the Spaniard finally expelled from Jamaica? The next question is, when was African slave trade in the British colonies abolished? What month and year? And last but not least, Mary Makiba from South Africa, Stokey Carmichael, Black nationalist, visit the Rastafarian community. What year and where? All you gotta call 07984-931-588 if you think you got the answer. It's the Culture Corner. It's a black thing. It's a Jamaican history. It's the Rastafarian history.
I've been thinking, how come I've been thinking about you? When the blood-curdling sounds of captive soul.
Don't forget this DJ Riddim in the Culture Corner, different thing, you know?
Harshly echo from wall to wall, ringing in my ears. When the stench of unwashed bodies, cesspools and festered souls hang heavy in the air, suffocating me. When I should be thinking and looking where to step in this treacherous pit.
I'm thinking of you, my love.
I've been thinking, how come? I've been thinking about you. When probably you're wrapped in self, thinking.
Yes, massive. I call on my private phone just now trying to give me the answer, but and so we are dealing with it tonight. It's not a private thing, it's a national thing. So, you know, the number to call is 07984-931-588. Give me your feelings on that.
About yourself and no one else.
Yes, caller, no disrespect still, but you know, and the people them to learn from it. It's not something where between I and I. It's between I and I and I. and the Most High.
I've been thinking how unfair I've been.
Yes, for those of you that don't know what's really taking place, it's the quiz corner. And the question is, who formed the 12th tribe and what year? The next question is, when was Bacawal destroyed? Which year? And the other question is, when was the Spaniard finally expelled from Jamaica? Which year? The next question, when was African slave trade in British colonies abolished and what month? And the final question is, Mary Makiba from South Africa and Stokey Carmichael visit the Rastafarian community in Jamaica. What year and which community?
That you're thinking about yourself.
Number to call if you think they have the answer is 07984 931-588.
What else? I've been thinking that I'm a fool, thinking about you.
Don't forget you can win yourself Black Scientist and Inventor Part 1 or 2. You can win yourself Bunny Wailer's Revolutionary Talk and a CD. And you can win yourself a meal at any of the following restaurant: Ital Vital, Bully's Kitchen Lake, Blake Jerk Center.
I've been thinking how come.
If you don't really eat out, so you know one got a restaurant, we have a book and we have a CD, which is very airy for this occasion. So you know you can link in still, even if you don't want none.
I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking.
Hear the burden say, I've been thinking about you.
Thinking about you. Have you been thinking about me too? I wonder. I've been thinking. How come I've been thinking?
Yes, myself, my personal phone just lock off. Not take more call on my personal phone. If you feel you have the answer, and between me and you, between I and I, so you can make a next one, learn something from that. If I tell you upon my personal line, I just I and I. And it's I and the Most High. Take it away.
Yeah! I've been thinking about.
Still thinking about you. Yes, speak.
Yo.
Bless.
Yes, Ross. Bacawal, right?
Bacawal. So what on Bacawal?
Bacawal destroyed 1966.
What did I say?
1966.
There insists for call. What are name?
Natty, see?
Natty Levi, ain't it?
Natty.
Yeah. I said, what? When Bacawal is destroyed?
1966.
Okay. So next question. Who formed 12 tribe?
Vivian Carrington. Sorry. Vivian Carrington.
What year?
68.
All right. So now, are you keep a call for my next number, right?
Eh?
I keep calling for the next number, right?
No, man. First time I call.
Okay. Where do I call from?
London, yes, sir.
Which part of London?
And I Wood Green.
Wood Green, all right. Bless. You with that now? What this number now? Yeah? 0795.
Hold on.
I can't tell me what you want. What you want for the price?
Well, I do want them book them now.
You want one of the book them?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, take this number and call out for the book, yeah?
All right, hold on. What I'm here?
0795 773 7351, yeah?
7351.
Yeah, call out after 8 o'clock. 7351.
All right.
Call out after 8 o'clock when the show done, yeah?
Respect.
Bless, love.
Cool.
Yes, massive. That was a winner just now. Man Sabaka Wall Destroy. Yeah. 1966. To be exact, July 12th. And the man said, Vernon Carrington formed the 12th tribe, 1968. That is so correct. So there you go, we have a winner. Take away something. And the Culture Corner Black History event. So that leaves us with 3 more questions. And that is, when was the Spaniard finally expelled from Jamaica? That's one question. Second question, when was African slave trade in British colonies abolished? So we're not talking about Jamaica, now we're talking about all the Caribbean, or all British colonies. When was it abolished? What year and month? And last but not least, Miriam Makeba and Stokely Carmichael visit the Rastafarian community in Jamaica. What year and which community? Number to call if you think you have the answer, 07984 931 588. Respect goes out to Ross Levi, Monday evening winner. Yes, massive, we're gonna make a different mix again.
This is the cry of a people who were robbed and raped from their homeland and their loved ones.
Serious thing that
of their culture, their dignity, their liberty, and their rights. And by the cruel and presumptuous hands of the
Speak. Bless and love.
Yes, sir. Can I try 20 questions to answer?
What did I say?
Can I try 20 questions to answer?
Yes, what I name?
Yeah, man. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear.
All right.
No, I want you to, what I name?
Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus.
Tottenham.
Tottenham again. All right, come true.
All right. The Spanish expelled Jamaica around 1655.
No, that's not really correct.
All right, King. All right. All right. We try the last one. Is slavery?
Yeah.
1865, January.
That not right again, either, brother.
All right, brother. Respect still, yeah?
We'll look to again and come again. Thanks for calling, brother.
Yeah, man.
Love and bless.
Yes, sir.
Alone with the imperialistic slavers were cargoed into the West, where for over 400 years they have toiled and labored, and with their blood, their sweat and tears and hands, they have built the great city of Babylon, only to be paid with the wages of the taskmaster's whip, torch, and death. This is my history.
1 minute, Mr. B. Yes, massive. We face now the history time, and we face with 3 questions. One of them is twofold. Now, what I want to know is, when was the Spaniard finally expelled from Jamaica? One question that. The second question is, when was African slave trade in British colonies abolished and what month? So which year and month? All right? If you get the year, we can see with the month if you know the month still. And the third question is, Mary Makeba, you might not know her, but is a great singer from South Africa. She and her husband, a black nationalist from one of them small Caribbean island, Stokey Carmichael, visit the Rastafarian community in Jamaica. What year and which community? So that's the call, the quiz for the week. Don't get the answer today. You have until Monday coming, which is the Garrison Mix under the black culture thing still. Forget it. The number to call is 07984 931 588. Come again, Mr. B.
We've been down
Hear the whip?
in the valley much too long. We've been down in captivity oh so long. We've been down in humility much too long. We've been down in a slavery oh so long, but we're gonna rise and shine and in our liberation. For now's the time when all nations must be free. So
respect goes out to all freedom fighter.
rise and shine.
Too many I can't call no name.
Restore your strength and power. Waste no more time. Remember your history.
Past and present legend. All cornerstone foundation man and woman.
Whoa, we've been down in a separation much too long.
Don't forget this DJ Riddim in the culture corner with a different thing.
We've been down in a condemnation oh so long. We've been down in segregation much too long. We've been down in humiliation oh so long, but we're gonna rise as the morning sun that surrounds you. It's international morality time, where mankind must be born anew. So rise and shine for the sake of the younger generation.
You can't take me out of Rasta. I'm a Rasta, and me not stop. You can't take Rasta out of me. You can't take me out of Rasta. You can't take me out of Rasta. I'm a Rasta, and me not stop. You can't take Rasta out of me. You can't take me out of Rasta. You can't take me out of Rasta.
Their dignity, their liberty, and their rights. And by the cruel and presumptuous hands of the colonial and imperialistic slavers.
Order from our extensive catalog of DVDs and audio CDs. Call us on 079 4479 2378. That is 079 4479 2378.
This is yours truly, Jabani Whaler, original foundation member of the legendary Whalers. And on behalf of all Jamaicans, the Rastafarian community, and all who stands under the reggae banner, I now and hereafter hails with maximum respect and honor.
Jah will never give the power to a bald head.
Remember that. Musically speaking, an untold history of the legendary Whalers, otherwise known as Bob Marley and the Whalers. Consisting of the late Honorable Robert Nesta Marley, O.M. Bob Marley, composer, songwriter, singer, musician, and foundation cornerstone of the legendary Whalers. Bob Marley Nesta was incarnated on the 6th day of February 1945 in the parish of St. Anne, traditionally known as the Garden Parish of Jamaica, and also the birthplace of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, philosopher, historian, and prophet of all times and dispensation. Bob's parents are the late Captain Norval Sinclair Marley and Sidella Malcolm, later Mistress Booker. Bob's early childhood development commenced in the district of 9 Mile St. Anne, and his education began at the Stepney Elementary School. He in later years attended the St. Aloysius Primary School in Kingston, where he graduated and went on to be trained as an electrical welder at Millard's Welding Yard on South Camp Road in Kingston. Bob's hobbies were running, farming, writing, singing, cricket, and soccer. The late Winston Hubert McIntosh, Peter Tosh, composer, songwriter, singer, musician, and foundation cornerstone of the legendary Whalers, was incarnated on the 19th of October 1944 at Grange Hill District in the parish of Hanover through the parentage of Mr. James McIntosh and Miss Elvira Cook. Peter was educated in Bluefields up to the age of 17 years old, at which time he migrated to Kingston to live with his aunt, where he started his apprenticeship, also as a welder. Peter's hobbies were carving, fishing, diving, martial arts, and music. Neville O'Reilly Livingston, Bonnie Wheeler, composer, songwriter, singer, musician, and foundation cornerstone of the legendary Whalers, was incarnated on the 10th day of April 1947 in the parish of Kingston, Jamaica. Bonnie's parents are the late Thaddeus and Margaret Livingston. Bonnie's early childhood development began in the central communities of Kingston, and early education started at Miss Kelly Prep, then Chetola Park, Stepney, and All Saints Primary Schools, and finally graduated from the Camperdown High School. Bonnie's hobbies are athletics, swimming, table tennis, cricket, soccer, dancing, boxing, writing, composing, and singing. The late Franklin Delano Alexander Brathwaite, Jr. Brathwaite, songwriter, composer, singer, musician, and foundation cornerstone of the legendary Whalers, was incarnated on the 4th day of April 1949 in the parish of Kingston, Jamaica. His parents are Mr. and Mrs. Zebedee and Inez Brathwaite. Bratty's education began at the Trenchtown Primary and then to the Denhamtown Primary School, from where he graduated. Bratty's hobbies were singing, soccer, and cricket. Beverly Kelso, Bev, singer and foundation cornerstone of the legendary Wailers, was incarnated on the 2nd of June 1947 in the parish of Kingston, Jamaica. Bev's parents are Miss Ruby Gale and Mr. Hubert Butty Kelso. Bev's early childhood development academically began at Miss Lemard Prep, then to the Denham Town Primary. Her hobbies are sewing and singing. Constantine Walker, Dream, later Vision, foundation member of the Soulets and adopted member of the legendary Wailers, was incarnated on the 19th of October 1951, remembered by Jamaicans as the Year of the Storm, in the parish of Kingston, Jamaica. Dream's parents are Mr. and Mistress Constantine Vesta Walker. Dream's early education began at Miss Kidd's private school, then to the Avondale and Melrose primary schools. Dream's hobbies are acting, impersonating, and singing. The Mystery Wailer, Cherry. Read more about this Mystery Wailer, Cherry, in the old 5 Sticks. You're in heaven, but you're eternal greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. Maximum respect, blessings and honor to all Iration and all who exalts Jah name and the reggae banner. I am yours truly, Jaboni Wailer, original foundation and still surviving symbol and cornerstone of the legendary Wailers. World-known musical performing group consisting of the late Honorable Robert Nesta Marley, O.M. Bob Marley, Winston Hubert McIntosh, Peter Tosh, Franklin Delano Alexander Brathwaite, Junior Brathwaite, Beverly Kelso, and myself, Jabi, Neville O'Reilly Livingston, an adopted member, Cherry, and Constantine Antonio Walker, Vision or Dream. Multitude of words have been written, read, and said of the Wailers as a group and as individuals internationally. Some to exalt and some designed to try and discriminate upon the Wailers by writers and people the world over who seem to have been the...
Yes, Massive, don't forget you're in tune to the Culture Corner with DJ Riddim. And the culture question for the week is... Speak. Speak.
Yes, brother. I've got the answer to 2 of the questions and the quiz.
Hey, what's your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Opio.
Opio.
Yeah, Opio.
Opio.
Yeah.
And where you calling from?
I'm calling from Tottenham.
Okay. And you think you have the answer for it? The questions?
Yeah, the one about the Spanish, when the Spanish was expelled.
Yes.
Yeah, that is 1660.
Yes.
And the answer to the year and the month of the abolition of the slave trade.
Yes.
Is March 1808.
Well, you got one right. So try the last one, no, because you have the first one right, but the second one you are off.
The last one, yeah.
Yeah.
They passed the law 1807. But they said that no more slaves should go into the islands after March 1808.
All right. Oh, you what now, right?
Yeah.
When you say 180, when they passed the law?
1807.
Okay. Well, you what now?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the price. You know why?
Uh-huh.
Because first you said 1808. Right?
Yeah.
But when you say 1808, you got the month right.
Uh-huh.
Because it was March 25th. But then when you come forward and say 1807 when they passed the law, then you also got that right. So slavery was abolished 1807, March 25th. Okay. Now, what would you want for your price?
Right. Well, can you get the books?
Well, it's 2 books.
Yeah.
It's 2 books. It's part 1 and part 2.
Right. So what was the title of the books again?
Eh?
What was the title of the book?
The black is Black Scientists and Inventors, Part 1 and Part 2.
All right, still. Now I think I'll say the music star.
So where you want? The Revolution Talk? The Revolution Talk.
The Revolution Talk, is that by Manuela?
Yes.
Yes, brother. I love that one.
All right. Well, take this number for the link up for that later on, yeah? As a matter of fact.
Sorry?
Take this number for the link up for it. 0795.
0795.
773.
773.
7351.
7351.
Yeah, call me after 8 o'clock and I tell you where to pick it up, yeah?
After 8. All right, brother.
Yeah, one love.
Yeah, give thanks. Bye.
Every time. Yes, massive. That was our next bright scholar that know is history. So therefore, only one question leave for Monday, to carry over for Monday. So I'll continue to run the revolution, the legendary talk, and then go and look up 2 more questions.
Victims of misinformation regarding the whalers' lives, works, achievements, and history. The prosperity which has been achieved and inherited by these authors of misinformation and fictions is no way beneficial to the millions of fans, well-wishers, and supporters of the whalers, when most of what they have read and have accepted as true and factual, I personally say, is a lot of intoxicating and fictitious garbage. The respect and admiration that have been achieved through our the whalers' works, integrity, blood, sweat, and tears are still left unchallenged, with only one exception, and that is that of the legendary Beatles. These 2 symbols, the whalers and the Beatles, can never be erased, removed, and be forgotten from the minds and musical monuments globally. The music industry, their peers, fans, and supporters shall forever respect, cherish, and adore the treasures and legacies given to them by these 2 legendary groups, the Whalers and the Beatles. There are those people, as well as writers and journalists, who would describe I and I, the Whalers, as poverty-stricken wanderers. But without even denying them of their gaiety, it is my humble pleasure to remind them that greatness is sometimes achieved by humiliation and sacrifices. And through these tests, trials, and tribulations, the Whalers have achieved greatness beyond the wildest dreams or imagination of those deceivers to become legends. Maximum respect and thanks to the multitude of Whalers fans and supporters the world over for their continued contribution, support, and efforts in the struggle for the liberation and restoration of the Whalers' legacy. So read, listen, learn from, and enjoy this memorable and treasurable chest of vintage golden hits entitled The Whalers' Legacy. It's a collector's item. Birthplace of the Whalers, Trenchtown.
One good thing about music, when it hits you,
Trenchtown, Kingston 12, The Rock, situated in the south central section of Kingston, Jamaica, was once a small but colorful and compact city-type town. City-type in the sense that Trenchtown, The Rock, absorbed, recorded, and stored all sorts of information in and around the corporate areas of Kingston, ranging from legal to illegal, righteousness and unrighteousness, joy and sadness, consciousness and madness. Name it, Trenchtown had it. In other words, Trenchtown was like a little world in a movie, where there was always a true-to-life drama taking place 24/7, almost on every street, lane, or track in this city-type town, Trenchtown. You could observe dramas such as religious, criminal, thriller, love, gang warfare, comedies, and musical, to name a few. The town's main streets run north to south through the center of the town, namely east, west, and central roads, which later was changed to the Collie Smith Drive, named after the great Jamaican cricketer O'Neill Gordon Collie Smith, who won fame by representing the West Indies cricket team on several occasions in the late 50s running into the early 60s. The streets branching or running east to west of the town were named by their numbers, 1st up to 13th Street. Trenchtown was equipped with its own YMCA and YWCA institution.
Take a pause, Mr. B. Yes, Massive. Still in the quiz corner. 2 questions still to carry over is, when was Mayor Makeba and Stokey Carmichael visit the Rastafarian community in Jamaica? What year and which community? And the next question is, when was total abolition of slavery took place? Simple one again.
Trenchtown, Boystown Primary, now Trenchtown Comprehensive. Library, fire station, parks, recreation centers, and clubs.
Here your Trenchtown is nice.
For different types of youth and adult activities. The Ambassador, Queens and Majestic Theatres. The JSPCA Center may be the only one of its kind still functioning nationally up until this present time. Transportation bus number 19 routed from South Parade through to the terminus on 13th Street. The water tank or reservoir situated at 13th Street, which supplied the entire
My Black, you know I'm a name, not you?
Asta Black is name, man.
And me, man. You know, my Black, there's a lot of controversy going on right now with the grounds that you belong to for years.
The achievements of the Whalers have proven beyond any doubt that one of the greatest things that has happened for Jamaica, its music, its people, and the world of music is credited to Trenchtown and none other than the legendary Whalers.
Yes, that happened to be my town. Big and serious, not take back that.
With the consistent help and tutorship of Maestro Joe Higgs, the chosen members of the group continued on
Trenchtown na my DNA.
On our strenuous exercises, showing constant improvement in both lead and harmonies, with each member improving progressively. All friends and well-wishers who witnessed the group rehearse thought or said that the group was at its peak of fluorescence, fully bloomed and ready to bear fruit. But Joe thought differently. His strategy of exposure was of a slightly revolutionized manner for the group to tour the areas and the communities outside of Trenchtown, not only to introduce the group to the populace, but to strengthen the group's confidence and study the response of the audiences. This tactic of exposure resulted positively, and it pleased the maestro and the group to know it did. After another period of rehearsing and preparation, the Whalers were groomed and ready for the creator's purpose. Auditioning. Contact had been already made by Seco Pep, a close friend and well-wisher of the group, for an audition with the #1 producer of that era, Clement Dodd, Coxsone Studio One, situated at 13 Brentford Road in Kingston, Jamaica. The Studio One label had already been responsible for the production and exploitation of major acts, such as the Metals, Delroy Wilson, Jackie Opel, Lord Creator, and Mighty Scatterlights, to name a few. The songs chosen for this our first audition were, as we saw them, the best of the lots, rehearsed. Namely, Simmer Down, I Don't Need Your Love, How Many Times, and Straight and Narrow Way. with Bob leading the first 3 tracks and Junior leading the 4th. The scene was busy with talents as we entered through the gate of Studio One for the first time in each member of the group's life. Anxiety and excitement were projected on each member's face as we were summoned to the auditioning room, which turned out to be the studio itself. Situated inside on a tall bench at the north of the studio was Coxsone Jackson himself in person, ordinarily attired with a rather curious questioning frown on his face. His expression was not as inviting as I would have expected, but then that was my impression of him. His facial expression gradually changed into wonder as the group got militant in alertness for the counting and conducting signal of the tutor, Joe Higgs. Harmonies pelted out immediately, choking every space inside those tight soundproof walls of Coxsone Studio One, convincing him that fortune, fame, and prosperity was now bursting in his brain as he listened the Wailers again and again until stop. All right, he said, no more, winking an eye to Seco. After setting the appointment for the actual recording session, which was to be the following day, Monday, we left with each member of the group satisfied with the result of this, our first ever auditioning session. The Wailers' first recording session. It would seem that my anxieties created a reluctance in the movement of time as I tossed, turned, and waited in my bed, watching the clock and anticipating the realities of what the recording session would reveal. Meeting at our usual place of rehearsing, we all had the feeling of being transferred to another grade to experience new pupils, teachers, and subjects alike. This, our first recording session, was a proud and challenging one for the Wailers and our faithful fans and well-wishers, whom we were determined never to fail. With this consciousness, we traveled confidently to Studio One. On reaching the studio, we were immediately summoned to the recording area, where we were introduced to the members of the legendary Scatterlights band, as I saw them at the time because they were. Coxsone was busy hooking up his snake-like mic cards to his 8-channel grip-like mobile 1-track quarter-inch recorder, with which Coxsone had proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that he was the ears and sound balancing genius of that era, which is still unmatched here in Jamaica up until this present time. As far as studios and sound systems are concerned, Coxsone's dancehall flavor and sound system, the round beat, are still being patterned and copied by the now sound systems to make the dancehall click. Coxsone knew the trick. After hooking, tuning, and warming up, the Scatterlights had by this time created the fitting arrangement for the first track to be recorded, which had to be simmered down. Coxsone needed to have this type of artillery in his collection to be the #1 sound in the land, Coxsone's round beat, with King Stitt at the control. King Stitt quoted, as I would say, "Simmer down, you're licking too hot, so simmer down or soon you'll get dropped." And so did the other sound system that clashed with Sir Coxsone's round beat. For as the battle got hotter, a lot of sound systems suffered at the hand of Coxsone in every alley. Because to match any stride with him, they had to pay enormous sums for certain type of dub specials, hot waxes. With Simmer Down now laid and in the can, the combination of the Wailers and the Scatterlights with Coxsone personally at the control proved that history was then in the making. The remaining tracks, though not as sure-picked as the first, were passed, confirming that the Wailers' first recording session was a success. Inheritance of the name Wailers. It has never been written of or disclose as to how the group achieved or inherited the name the Whalers. It was decided by the Council of Wise and Concerned Brethren of Trenchtown that because the group originated from an environment wherein people were always weeping and wailing, the group should be named the Whalers. The magical spell of the Whalers is like unto the wailing walls of Jerusalem. It is now a shrine and a place of prayer for the original Falasha and Jews in general, and is sustained as the only remaining portion of the original walls of King Herod's temple. It gave every Jew a sense of pride and happiness and even love. It is never surprising to see Jews scattered throughout the world, then and now, returning to Jerusalem whenever they wish to see their temple and to worship and praise Jah. The construction of the temple is closely compared to that of the magnificent temple of King Solomon, the wise, fabulous, and king of the Jews and of ancient Jerusalem. Challenging times for the Whalers. Though very unaware, we the Whalers had serious, threatening, and challenging times ahead. Our first was to maintain our now established reputation of having a #1 record on the pop charts. With hard work, dedication, and staying together as a group, we quickly overcame this first challenge by holding other #1 positions on the radio charts of RJR, such as Hurts to Be Alone, led by Junior Brathwaite. While the previous singles, Straight and Narrow Way and Simmer Down, were still holding their own on the top 20 charts too. The Jamaican radio station RJR in the mid-60s had 3 different charts for the record-buying public to choose from: the top 100, top 20, and top 10 charts. In that era, singles were released with an A and a B side, which gave the record a lot more value. The public would elaborate on the preferred side of their choice, and by request and popular demand, these records lived to make returns profitable for the distributors. A charted record could sell from 5 to 70,000 copies from the pre-release stages, bearing prices of 21 shillings or 1 guinea, then to 15 shillings, then to 12 shillings and 6 pence, and finally to the release price of 7 shillings and 6 pence, while hot waxes, dub specials or unreleased material were sold for up to £10 or more. It all depended on the desperation of the purchaser or the greed of "Down, I don't need your love." How many times? Straight and narrow way. Tell them, Lord Destiny, I'm going home. Amen. Go Jimmy, go Lights in the harbor. Where's that girl? Was experiencing and enjoying strong and consistent radio play, as those were the days of fair radio play, unidentified with piolas and bribery, giving the Whalers proper promotion and exposure. Now, after overcoming our first challenge, we were now getting settled to really turn on the heat when disaster almost struck. We, the Wailers, were to lose our first member.
Yes, massive, waiting in the wings is DJ Triller. And you don't know I come to film thing a different kind of way. Anyway, know that you can catch DJ Riddim again in the Garrison Mix this Monday, and the culture thing continue because, you know, like them say, Black History Month, this, and we run the Wednesday program continue. So the Wednesday program is a cultural corner we run continue. When Black History Month done, we still a run. So we are going to just make the track the finish and close out warm and easy. Catch you this Monday again with a different thing, the Garrison thing.
Junior Brathwaite's migration to the United States of America. It is customary for Jamaicans either to visit or to migrate to the United States of America for one reason or another. And so it was in the case of Junior Brathwaite, his parents and family. This was the first challenge of this kind and nature for the group. Bratty was not to return. He was leaving for good. This came as a shock. Bratty was now established as one of the group's lead vocalists and sang the lead and harmonies on previous tracks before his migration. This happened just after the release of his classical original rendition of It Urged to Be Alone, accompanied by Straight and Narrow Way. We the Wailers had even got started on doing live midnight attraction performances at the Jamaica Success Club and Liberty Hall, backed by the Scatterlights. So we were just fully coming into ourselves, and it really felt strong with more confidence building up, and every member holding his or her own to the fullest of our abilities, no baggages. So Bratty was to be a very important loss to the group, which made it quite difficult to cope with, especially Beverly, because she actually blended with Bratty, as both their voices were high-pitched. This was a challenge which meant hard work and sticking together. Now that a key link was missing, proved to be a strenuous and bewildering task, because there were times when Beverly was not performing as positive as was expected, and after a few other recording sessions, we decided to adopt Cherry, who had been interested in being a member since the absence of Junior Brathwaite. After doing so, she officially rehearsed with the group, still tutored by Joe, who by this time was like a father figure for us, and we totally relied on his unreluctant attitude toward us. God bless Joe Higgs every time. Our next recording session, including Cherry, was pre-arranged by Coxon to revolutionize the Wailers sound a bit. So the Vikings band was chosen for this one. This revolutionized session proved fruitful for Coxon, because out of it came 3 smashing hit records: the Wailers' Lonesome Feeling, the Vikings' instrumental Cyrus, and Higgs and Wilson's There's a Reward for Me. Cherry was not the ideal replacement, so after putting in some more hard rehearsal and recording a few more tracks, Cherry understandably resigned from the Wailers. This was now becoming very frustrating for Bob, Peter and I, because we were painfully aware of the fact that Beverly too would be soon resigning, understandably again, and because she knew she did not want to hinder the progress of the group in any way, she later resigned. This was really bad.
Yes, massive. That was the legendary talk by Foundation Cornerstone Bonnie Wailers. this one from track 1 to 5. So catch me on the Garrison Corner this Monday, and if you get caught up in what's happening now, you can just make it. Give me, I'm a come on, I hear me come on. Give me a call and tell me say, Jaman, continue that thing there, run that thing there. That I want to hear right now, cause me lock on with my tape set, everything all right. Anyway, through we are run wheelers thing, we're gonna sign off with quite 2 wheelers, you know. So here we are move now. Wrong track.
Please don't you rock my boat, 'cause I don't want my boat to be rocking anyhow. Please don't you rock my boat, no, 'cause I don't want my boat to be rocking. I'm telling you that, I like it like this. Can you miss? And you should know. When I like it like this, I'm a really is. Ooh yeah. You satisfy my soul. Morning time, evening cold. By my soul. Yes, I've been telling you. Bake me the sweetest cake. Happy inside all the time. Oh, can't you see what you've done for me? Yeah. You make me feel like when we bend the new corners, we feel like sweepstake winners, yeah. When we bend the new corners, we feel like sweepstake winners. And I said, ooh, I like it like this. Yes, I do. And you should know.
Yes, massive. This one goes out to all the female locked in right now. This is what I want to tell you. And my brethren DJ Chiller will come and take it from here. This is where I'm leaving it.
Satisfy my soul, dog.
How many times have I told you that I love you? And how many times I told you how much I care for you, my love. I would do anything. I would do anything just for you. I would do anything.
Better believe that.
For you. For you, my love. I would go anywhere. I would go anywhere for you, my love. I'll swim the widest ocean, I'll climb the highest mountain and say my love for you.
Living People Promotion presents their 7th year anniversary party for the Brandy and Baby Sham.
Who God bless, no man curse. What lovers join, no man can divide. What eternity is with, no man can alter. Jah divide this and no man can take away. Stand on them, them a gonna fish up their mouth. Slide away there, when them a gonna fish up their mouth.
Can't do that.
Them a gonna fish up their mouth. And when they come, them a gonna fish up their mouth. When we gather now, lyrics all about. And when we gather now, lyrics all about. Me reach down Africa, me tell it all about. Me reach down Africa, me tell it all about. Me don't like a man, we love talk and shout. Me don't like a man, we love talk and shout. Me wake up every morning, me wash out me mouth. Me wake up every morning, me wash out me mouth. Where them a gonna fish up me mouth? You know where them a gonna fish up me mouth? Where them a gonna fish up me mouth? Me say down where them a gonna fish up me mouth? They want to put big padlock on me mouth. They want to put big padlock on me mouth. Tell them, Jeff, Babylon come, them lick me in me head. Only heap of people want to see me drop dead from pain. Tell them, watch them from pain. Tell them, watch them. Me have the pain in me head, got the pain in my neck. Hey, come from me neck, in my chest. Hey, come from me chest, in my back. Hey, come from me back, in my waist. Come from me waist, come from me hip. Hey, come from me hip, in my thigh. Come from me thigh, in my leg. Come from me leg, in my knee. Come from me knee, in my foot. Them treat naughty dread like I and I a cook. But me read up the Bible, the holy book, page to page. Tell them, watch them, page to page. Tell them, watch them. But I'm with them, I'm gonna do shut them mouth. Hey, with them, I'm gonna do shut them mouth. Can't wait till me gather enough lyrics all about. Me reach down Africa, me tell it.
Yeah, that was one of my good brethren, thing called Ranking Dread. Say, where them I go do to make us shut them out. Anyway, just wanted to know everything that I play is from my archive. And I have the right to play what I play. Yeah. Yes, that was the thing called Bring It. And you don't know how we set it.
Watch it, me nah catch it, you know. Break it, you have to mend it, you catch it, and not stretch it, don't bother stretch it, you take it, and no one share it, no, you broke it, me never cut it, see, you know, mend it, but don't bend it. Look what you do with it, look what you do with it. Watch it, you think I never stop it. You can't get the car bust it, you know. You never sow it, but you reap your farmer. You never plant it, but you want to eat it. Look what you do with it. Look what you do with it. Bring it, make we sun it. Bring it, make we burn it. The fire will purge it. The fire will cleanse it. Watch a man. You think you want to eat a food? You're rude. Look what you do with it. 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 Oh, you are a boss. Watch a man. How we make it. Yeah, man, how we make it. How we invent it. But you come try. Destroy. You come and abuse it. Too much like you make them start accuse it. After a we make it, a we cleanse it. You make them start accuse it. Too much gun lyric. Bring the fire, come, make we burn it. Bring the fire, come, make we sun it. The fire will purge it. The fire will cleanse it. But not even you can stop. No, you can't stop it. Look where you do. Look where you do. Rabbit head, shape it, enough man hell they can legitimize it. Now you come make people criticize it. Too much gun lyric, a whole lead start, accuse it. Too much slackness, and even start, refuse it. You never sow it, but you reap your farmer. You never plant it, but you eat it. Come out of our life with your fuss and fight, we don't want it. We are trying to flap it, too much tenant theater. They say who the cap fit, make them wear it. Bring the fire, come, make we sun it. Bring the fire, come, make we burn it. The fire will purge it. The fire will cleanse it. Alright, sir. We don't want it. We are trying to flap it. We say who the cap fit, make them wear it.
All right, massive. Catch you again at another archive mix. You know, just to keep the thing going, keep it positive and teach the youth them a thing or two, let them hear something different.